let's talk about whether Jeffrey Epstein was, in fact, an asset, okay, was some sort of intelligence asset for America, Israel, or some foreign government. This, many people believed that he might be because he didn't go to college. He was a high school graduate who somehow parlayed that into a job at the prestigious Dalton School in Manhattan and was hired by Bill Barr, former CIA, former Attorney General now, by his dad, who was the headmaster there. And that guy was in Intel. And there was a question about whether he'd been potentially recruited by him or potentially brought into or in connection with the Mossad in Israel because Ghislaine Maxwell's father was believed to be connected with Mossad. And that guy I mentioned to you yesterday, Ari Ben Menashe, said he was Ghislaine Maxwell's father's handler and that Jeffrey Epstein was connected to Israeli intelligence, the Mossad. And there were many Israeli politicians, like heads of state and Mossad officials at Ghislaine Maxwell's father's funeral, and on it went. So there had been speculation about whether Epstein was connected to American intel, Israeli intel, or some other country's intel. He was close with the Saudis. There were a bunch of possibilities because he got very, very rich in a very, very short amount of time, notwithstanding the fact that he wasn't very, very impressive on his academic resume, at least not in a way that you typically see of people who suddenly make hundreds of millions of dollars based on their smarts and their connection to powerful people. So that was a question that was buzzing around. And then it got even more furious when he copped that amazing plea deal in 2007, 2008. Now, and because it looked like somebody stepped in to make it go away. That's how it looked. It was like these were very serious charges. The truth about him was coming out. The government said it knew of at least 30 victims who had been trafficked by Jeffrey Epstein, including underage girls. Who gets 13 months, basically house arrest for that? And it gets it reduced to 2 misdemeanor solicitation of a prostitute accounts. I know Alan is a great lawyer, but he's not that great. So what else was at play in making that very strong case get whittled down to nothing? People wanted to know. I want to know. And this is where Vicky Ward's reporting comes in. She reported, as I started off the show with, in 2019, that in 2016, she'd spoken with a person on the Trump transition team about Alex Acosta, who had been nominated for labor secretary. And there was she knew the case very well because she'd been reporting on Epstein for years. And she could see, that was an interesting choice. Like, this is an interesting choice. Why are you sure you're going to be okay with Alex Acosta? And she reported, as I said at the top of the show, what she reported about how he was believed to be an intelligence asset. Again, that he'd been told to back off, that Epstein was above his pay grade. Quote, I was told Epstein belonged to intelligence and to leave it alone. And by the way, he also said on camera that DOJ had full vetting and approval of that settlement deal, of that plea deal. So there's no question that Alex Acosta wasn't making the ultimate decision on that settlement, on that plea deal. It was Maine Justice. Now, who was the Attorney General at the time this deal was made? It was Alberto Gonzales. The deal was made, it was right up to like the middle of November. I can't remember exactly what day in November it was cut, but it was November of 2007. And Alberto Gonzales was the Attorney General. Within a week, he resigned, and Michael Mukasey came in. I mean, it's kind of interesting. Why did he resign again? Like, I'd love to go back and ask him, like, what did we know about this case? I'm not suggesting he resigned because he was like disgusted or ashamed or guilty, but I'd love to know why the timing was so close. Anyway, Michael Mukasey stepped in, and there's no question Alberto Gonzales would have had to, and Alex Acosta specifically says, signed off on this plea deal. He didn't mention Gonzales, but he said Maine Justice, and something like this most likely would have gone all the way up. So that's what happened. Then, so Vicky Ward hits that reporting in 2019, and she dropped that report in the Daily Beast the day before Alex Acosta was forced, now he's labor secretary, to hold a presser about the fact that he's been embroiled in this controversy and what's he going to do? Can he last as labor secretary, or is he going to be forced out? And that's when he issued that what I think is an absolutely pathetic non-denial denial. We'll play it here. It's SOT 9, July 10th, 2019.
Mr. Secretary, were you ever made aware at any point in your handling of this case if Mr. Epstein was an intelligence asset of some sort?
So there has been reporting to that effect, and let me say, there's been reporting to a lot of effects in this case, not just now but over the years, and again, I would hesitate to take this reporting as fact. This was a case that was brought by our office. It was brought based on the facts. And I look at that reporting and others. I can't address it directly because of our guidelines. But I can tell you that a lot of reporting is just going down rabbit holes.
That is not a denial, people. That's not a denial. That I don't know whether he actually said that to Trump transition, but that is about as mealy-mouthed and wormy an answer to a direct question, were you made aware that he was an intel asset, as you could ever hope to hear. He did not say no, first of all. He did not deny the report. All he said was, I would hesitate to take as fact some of the reporting that's out there. Okay, by this point, why couldn't he say no? By this point, he could have said, no, I was not told that Jeffrey Epstein was an asset. That is a report that is out there that is not true. This case was settled based on perceived weaknesses in the government's case. While it was a very strong state case, this is what Alan Dershowitz has said, by the way, it was less of a strong federal case. I don't know if I believe that, but I'm just saying, if you wanted to find a way of justifying to the press in front of you why you walked away from the deal, it would be very easy to say it had nothing to do with him being an intelligence asset. No, that was never told to me. We walked away for the following reasons. It was a weak case, whatever. So that's what Alex Acosta said on camera. And then he sat with the Department of Justice's Office of Professional Responsibility, which looked into this whole matter. And this is what people who say he was not an asset, and again, I'm not arguing he was an asset. I have no idea. I'm just trying to do an honest investigation for you guys. I'm not somebody with a horse in this race. I don't discount the allegations he was or the defenses that he wasn't. In any event, so then he speaks to the OPR. And reportedly, he told OPR that no, he wasn't told that Epstein was an asset. Or at least that's what most reports that write about the OPR investigation say. Alex Acosta said. Enter Mike Benz, former State Department employee, now heads up an open intel type organization where they're demanding transparency from government, no matter the party, on all sorts of important issues. And he knows this case like the back of his hand. And he was making some very good points about this OPR report. I think this was yesterday, and it's SOT 7.
They tried to put this story to bed by saying, oh, we did this OPR report, and Alex Acosta walked back what he said to the Trump transition team, or what he contradicted Vicky Ward's reporting. Well, we don't know that because we never got the transcript. We got a one-line summary description buried in the 244th footnote. Now, that OPR investigation is totally sweeping. All of the audio files, all of the transcripts, all of the interviews can be made public. Now, OPR reported directly to Bill Barr. Bill Barr was the CIA's mop-up man for Iran-Contra. He started his career in the CIA. The Washington Post called him the CIA's fall guy because he blocked disclosures of CIA files. It's very possible that the intelligence angle could have been buried by Bill Barr himself.
So interesting. Okay, so what does Vicky Ward think now? She's the one who, first got any actual reporting about his alleged intel ties going. She's an investigative reporter. She's worked for numerous outlets in the past. She now posts to her own Substack, Vicky Ward Investigates. And she's actually also the author. We were booking Vicky for this week irrespective of all this, because she's the author of a new book that's just hitting, she co-authored it with James Patterson, called The Idaho Four, An American Tragedy. This is about, of course, those poor four souls out in Idaho who were murdered, we now know for sure, by Brian Kohlberger. And we're going to put it right to her. Vicky, first of all, thank you so much for being here. What do you make of all the back and forth now that's going on about your explosive 2019 Daily Beast report?
Well, thank you for having me, Megyn. That was the most detailed, comprehensive overview of Jeffrey Epstein's backstory that I've ever heard. Because
thank you.
It's a very complicated subject, and it's very hard to do it justice quickly, because there are, as you say, so many questions. First of all, I 100% stand by what I reported in the Daily Beast in 2019. I was told directly by someone in the Trump transition who had met with Alex Acosta in the transition and asked if the issue of Jeffrey Epstein would be a roadblock or a problem for his confirmation. And the answer came back, no. And, I was told Epstein belonged to intelligence and they moved on. I obviously wasn't in the room in the Trump transition. I was told this anonymously, so I can't name my source, but nothing has happened since then to make me think that there was anything wrong with that person's memory or what they told me. So does that clear that up for you, Megyn?
Yes, it does. You stand by your reporting. The person who said it to you has never gone back on it or called you to say, gee, I might have screwed that one up. Sorry, I put you out on a limb there, Vicky. And you were in no way confused or playing with the person's words or jumping to your own conclusions. You were reporting exactly what you'd been told.
That's exactly right.
It was a person who was in a position to know.
Correct. Was a person who was in the position to have been in the room with Alex Acosta. And I think that I also think the choice of wording is sort of interesting. Epstein belonged to intelligence, because that also runs a gamut, right, of possibilities.
Since President Trump was sworn in, his administration has made enormous progress at a breakneck pace. But don't forget, while they're moving mountains for the good of the nation, you've got your own personal savings to worry about. And one of the best ways to look after your savings is through diversification, particularly with gold, like from Birch Gold Group. In the past 12 months, the value of gold has increased by 40%. OMG. Central banks continue to bolster demand for gold by buying in record quantities. Global instability and tension is high, and Birch Gold makes owning physical gold extremely easy. Easily convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold, or buy some to store in your home safe. Just text MK to the number 989898 and Birch Gold will send you a free info kit on gold. There's no obligation, just useful information. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, take control of your savings today. Text MK to the number 989898. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.